topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Draw me close to you, never let me go, and lay it all down again, to hear you say that I'm a friend.
Good day. The Almighty Creator desires a deep personal relationship with you. My name is James Robertson. I'm a researcher, publisher, and teacher regarding the matters and truths of the Almighty Creator, whose true name is Yah, the eternally self-existing. I've been actively serving him since 1993, nearly 33 years. If you're not actively serving Yah, then by default you're serving Satan. My objective is to show you how you can make a big difference on earth and qualify for a position of high esteem in heaven for eternity. It's important to understand that as a believer, just being good is not the point. It's relationship with Yah that counts. Without this, you will be in a very unpleasant place in heaven with no way out. My aim is to show you how to get close to Father. If you're a good person without a clear relationship with Yah, then you're in a spiritual no man's land and you will not enter heaven when you die. The Creator has said regarding unbelievers, why should I want someone to spend eternity with me when they do not believe I exist? Yah is calling everybody on the planet to be involved and serve him and help him to have victory over Satan. Fundamentally, we each need to learn to see things on earth from Yah's perspective. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org. Today I'm going to talk about the essence of my message to Muslims, part 1. The overview. This article presents a headline review of most facets of my teachings as they apply first and foremost to Muslims. This is extremely important if you're Muslim. This is not a Christian teaching, and this is part 1 of what will ultimately be 5 parts, 4 or 5 parts. So, I really want to stress this message is for people who regard themselves as Muslims, who are seeking a deep relationship with the Almighty Creator. And I have it that those people are primarily gentle and peace-loving people. And we'll talk more about that a bit later. So this is based on the article 2021-0303, the essence of my message to Muslims, and as I said, this is part 1. Now I reached a point where Father has shown me that my understanding has matured and consolidated to a point where I can write an article summarizing all the key points that relate to my message as my message applies to Muslims. I've already written similar articles for Christians and Jews, and I aim to produce articles for other beliefs and for unbelievers. Nearly all of my writings are presented on the website www.endtimeissueministries.org, including a set of PDF volumes available on the website on the compilation of most writings page. That said, I want to stress that this is not a Christian message. It is not intended to draw you into Christianity. It is intended as the fulfillment of your Muslim heritage, as a child and servant of the Most High Creator of the heavens and the earth, who you know as Allah, leading to a reward when you die that will potentially entitle you to a high throne in heaven with the Creator for eternity. And I'm not sure how to say this in a way that you're going to be able to receive. I've been walking with the Creator for just closely with the Creator for just on 33 years, week after next. I've been serving him at some level for nearly 60 years. In that time, I have never understood him to be violent. I have never understood him to be angry. I never understood him to want me to go and beat up people or kill people or burn people or rape people. And I have to say to you that if you're a Muslim that hates Jews and hates Christians and kills people who don't agree with you regarding the Quran or Muhammad, beats them up, you are not serving the mighty one that I know. You're out of line. I've met Muslims who are gentle and kind, and those are the people that I'm speaking to. If you're one that believes in suicide vests and killing people, you've been misled, you've been lied to. That is not the Allah that I know. That's something else. I also want to stress that I'm not a Christian. I started this journey as a Christian. I've been thrown out of numerous churches, and after numerous supernatural experiences, many fasts, and much personal revelation, I now regard myself purely as a servant and messenger of the Most High Creator of the heavens and the earth to all human beings, irrespective of religious belief. My message is personal to you as an individual, and I want to stress that with great personal effort, you can come to a place of relationship with the Almighty Creator, your Father in heaven, such that you can satisfy his desire to have a deep personal relationship with you. And Father desires intense prayer from you. This is about you achieving your potential as a believer for eternity. This is about worshiping only the Almighty Creator and serving him only, and doing this anytime, all the time. For example, you do not have to go to some special place to worship him. If you're really serious, get on your face on the floor before him in your bedroom or your study or wherever and cry out to him for deliverance and for relationship. He will meet with you. He wants to be your friend, and he desires for you to become his friend. This is about relationship, not slavish observance of minutiae. For direct words from the Almighty to myself, see the webpage Important Insights. If you're a Muslim, particularly a deeply committed Muslim, I urge you to listen to this broadcast to the end of part 5 prayerfully over the next few weeks, and then to pray the prayer at the end. In all my writings, words and phrases in curly brackets are commonly used words that are incorrect at a level that they should be avoided. My journey with the Almighty has been deeply informed by the rigor of my engineering training. I have a doctorate in engineering. So, returning to my earlier point, it's possible that you are what many are calling an Islamist, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Muslim Brotherhood, etc., who thinks it's your duty to kill all the Jews on the planet, and when you finish killing all the Jews, to kill all the Christians. You're out of line. The Quran does not say that. I've read the Quran. The Almighty told me to read the Quran. The Quran corrects the error of the Christians in worshipping Isa, Jesus, in worshipping the Bible, and corrects the error of the Jews in worshipping the Torah. Muhammad came as a spokesman, prophet, to correct those errors. That does not make the Muslims and the Jews and the Christians infidels, and it does not open the door for you to kill them. If that's what you've been taught and that's what you believe, you are in error. That is not the commandment of the Almighty, and you will pay a horrible penalty when you die for your wrong belief if you keep up believing those lies. In summary, this article presents a headline review of most facets of my teachings as they apply first and foremost to Muslims. I've written similar articles for Christians and Jews, and subsequent articles are planned for other believers and unbelievers. I stress that I'm not highly knowledgeable with regard to Islam, and what follows is my best attempt based on my limited knowledge, and I ask for grace to the extent that some of what I write may not be entirely technically correct, albeit that I've learned more in the last few months on this topic. The correct English translation of Allah is the Almighty. The correct English translation of Allah in Arabic is the Almighty, just as the correct translation of Elohim in Hebrew or Allah in Aramaic is also the Almighty, and not God, which is a blasphemous name. I want to stress the Muslims, the true Christians, and the true Jews are all worshipping the same Almighty Creator, the one you call Allah, who is technically the Almighty, whose true name is Yah, the eternally self-existing. If you don't agree with me, I suggest you fast and pray and check it out. Islam is one of the three mainstream monotheistic religions. Islam, meaning submission to the will of the Almighty or the will of Allah, is one of the three nominally monotheistic major religions, together with Christianity and Judaism, which at some level seek to serve the Almighty. As with the other religions, insofar as the true reason we exist is to have a relationship with the Creator, most Muslims are not true believers. Some are, most not. All three of these religions are in serious error overall, such that true relationship with the Creator is somewhere in between all of these religions, with touches from other religions. The Creator says that there are more true believers in Islam than in Christianity, and that Christianity is in serious error to the point of largely being pagan, with only a limited number of true believers. And having said that, the vast majority of people who call themselves Muslims are not true believers, as the vast majority who call themselves Christians are not true believers. And that does not give you a license to go out and kill them. So again, if that's what you believe, you're out of line. It's not what the Quran teaches. How do I know that? In 2001, the Almighty told me to get a Quran and read it, and not ask any questions till I'd finished. I did. Got to the end. He said, "What do you want to know?" I said, "Number one, this says that Yeshua, Jesus, Isa, is not you." He said, "That's true." And number two, the Bible, the Protestant Bible or the Catholic Bible or whatever, is not your word. Is that true? He said, "That's true." Apart from that, the rest of the Quran sat reasonably comfortably with me relative to my reading of the Old Testament. There was nothing there which said kill Jews, and there was nothing there which said kill Christians. I've heard recently that towards the end of his life, Muhammad killed Jews. If that's the case, he went off the rails and was out of line. But I can't say that for certainty because I don't have detailed records of that. What I do know is that Muhammad was one of the great turnaround prophets. In the degradation of the human condition that has ensued since Adam ate the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, whatever that fruit may have been, the essential sin was rebellion and obeying Satan. Mankind has slid progressively into greater and greater evil. This has taken place against the context of the contest. See the website Real Contest, in terms of which Satan and his followers are vying against the Almighty in accordance with a strictly defined set of rules to establish Satan as ruler on earth for eternity. At various times, Satan has been winning hands down, and Yah, the Almighty Creator, has had to rely on a single individual who is in right standing with him and obedience to him at some level to initiate actions that would bring about a restoration of the things of the Almighty and cause people to turn back to him. The most significant of these turnaround prophets were, number one, Noah, who prayed for judgment on a corrupt world, was given guidance in building a large vessel designed for massively rough seas, and who survived a massive catastrophe in which an ice comet impacted the Earth and caused a massive tectonic upheaval, coupled with submerging the planet in water. In the process, all except Noah and his immediate family were wiped out. During this tectonic Earth's surface upheaval, the core of the Earth, which is a powerful nuclear reactor, had reached such a level of heat that the core expanded almost explosively, causing the diameter of the planet to increase by about 25%, resulting in the formation of the seas as we know them and the water draining off the land. The end result was a new civilization that started out with all members knowing the Almighty and his ways in a significant measure, although Japheth and Ham were unbelievers. It's really important, folks, to understand that Yah gave all authority on earth to Adam, and only a human being can operate on earth. So both Yah and Satan are limited to working through human beings. So it was necessary for Noah to ask Yah to send a flood to drown the unbelievers. That's what happened. Number two, Abraham, who alone stood for Yah when the world around him was completely apostate. He was the father of Ishmael and the father of Jacob, Jacob, Israel. And Ishmael was the father of the Arab people and therefore of Islam. It's really important to understand that Islam and Israel have the same family root. It's tragic that those who profess to be children of Ishmael are trying to kill children of Israel. Then the third turnaround prophet was Moshe, Moses, who, when almost the entire planet had forsaken the Almighty, led the children of Israel out of corrupt Egypt and into independence, in the process facilitating a number of dramatic miracles which have kept elements of the resulting Jewish faith at some level true to the Almighty even to today, which is why they continue to be blessed and prosper. So the Quran recognizes Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moshe, Moses, and a number of other significant prophets. They're the prophets that are owned by the Yahudites, the Jews, and by the Christians. They're shared. This thing of Muslims killing Jews and Christians, folks, I'm deeply grieved at the moment at the way some who call themselves Muslims have totally distorted the truth and are causing massive sin, massive grief, massive anger, trying to eradicate Israel. Israel's been there for 3,000 years. What do you think you're doing? Then Yahushua, who you call Isa, or incorrectly called Jesus, who is the first created being right way back at the beginning of creation, having lived in heaven with the Almighty throughout the creation process over millions of years, came to earth as the Spirit in the child born to a virgin of Nazareth, and grew up to be a mighty prophet, and was eventually put to death on a stake cross. Having lived a sinless life, he was immediately resurrected from the dead, and became the King of all human kings and Lord of all human lords. Through observance of his teachings, the Christian religion came into existence and has greatly impacted the world, although having fallen into much error within a short space of time after Yeshua died, as I said a minute ago, correctly reported by Muhammad. So it's sin to worship Jesus, it's sin to believe in the Trinity, it's sin to make Yeshua, Jesus, equal to Yah. That is not a basis to perpetrate jihad or murder or whatever you want to call it. They're in error, they need to be corrected. You're not going to be corrected by the way some of you are behaving now. Then Muhammad, who after a time of seclusion drew close to the Almighty and brought a message of correction and discipline to the Arab people who were descended from Abraham through Ishmael, thereby giving birth to the religion we know today as Islam. It's important to understand that Muhammad's message was timeless and necessary because both Judaism and Christianity were largely apostate at that time. So if you're going to be serious about serving Yah, you need to get straight what you believe about the Jews and the Christians. You have a responsibility to lead them from their sin. You do not have a responsibility to kill them. I realize I'm going on about this. I'm distressed by the lies that are being spoken by people who call themselves Muslims against particularly Yehudites, Jews, Yehudi. It's wrong. And you're going to have a nasty shock if you get to heaven unless you sort it out. Then Martin Luther, who took a stand against the extreme errors of the Roman Church and started a movement that resulted in many of the most extreme errors of the Roman Church being overturned. However, the Reformation and resulting Renaissance and Protestant Church compromised in certain key areas. Nevertheless, this Reformation started by Luther has dramatically impacted the world. As with the Jews, Luther was in significant error towards Islam as well. Folks, just because the thing to understand about each of these men, with the exception of Yahushua, Isa, Jesus, is that they're human and they had some error and they had some truth. Noah got drunk and cursed Canaan. That's the one error we know of, and there may have been others. Moses struck the rock twice, disobeyed Yah, was forbidden to enter the promised land. Muhammad was human. I haven't studied him in detail, but there are things that are attributed to him that I have it as a spokesman, as a prophet, as one who is close to the Creator, is not true. And you can say to me, Muhammad was the last prophet. My friend, the Creator created us so that we could be his friends. Why on earth would he stop speaking? Maybe you've stopped listening, but he's not stopped speaking. He speaks to me. He spoke to me audibly as clearly as you can hear me now on the 12th of March, 1993, and he's been talking to me ever since. I know his voice, and it is absolute false lies to say that Muhammad was the last prophet. Muhammad was human. He made mistakes. And the more I learn about Muhammad, the more I realize that he made serious mistakes. The Quran is a book, like the Bible is a book, and the Torah is a book. Having corrected the Jews and the Christians, the Muslims have fallen into the same sin. The Muslims are worshipping the book and they're worshipping Muhammad. And don't tell me you don't worship them. If you didn't worship the book, you wouldn't kill people who defiled the book. If you didn't worship Muhammad, you wouldn't kill people or beat people up who speak ill of Muhammad. He's just a man, and he's fair game for anybody who is not a believer in Islam. Overall, it's apparent that we're facing an increasing slide away from the Almighty. The errors of the Christian church are huge, as discussed elsewhere on this website. The errors of Islam are also huge. There is a huge proportion of people who call themselves Muslims who are not Muslims per my reading of the Quran and who are not going to heaven. And there are atrocities, and I say that forcibly, there are atrocities being perpetrated by people who call themselves Muslim. It's my current understanding that they are not true Muslims, and that's why they're doing it. They're serving Satan. And if you are a Muslim who's taking exception to my message, I suggest you go and check it out. There is abundant information about the atrocities perpetrated by Hamas on Israel on the 7th of October 2023 and subsequently in Gaza. And there are abundant evidence that the lies of the things that the Palestinian supporters around the world are saying about Israel are false and true and wrong. Israel did not perpetrate genocide. Hamas perpetrated genocide. The problem is so severe that the Almighty says that within 200 years, the current Renaissance will peak and there will be an increasing slide into satanic dominion of the world unless another turnaround prophet is raised up to do what is necessary to avert the looming disaster. If you're serious about serving the Almighty, I urge you to do all you can to seek all truth and turn to the Almighty in a much more intense way than you are at present, and to do what you can to make a difference through intercession, seeking truth, spreading the message, etc. You might even become the next turnaround prophet. Then we exist to be friends of the Creator directly and not through an imam or a prophet or a worship leader or a prayer leader or a whatever. There is fundamentally only one reason that human beings, this planet, this solar system, this universe exist, and that is because the Almighty Creator, who has always existed, was lonely and wanted companions and specifically friends. Friend of the Creator is the highest achievement in this life, and anything short of that is a misfire, particularly if you have not even attempted to achieve this status with Him. This means that you talk to Him constantly, you know His true name, Yah, the eternally self-existing, you use it exclusively, and He talks to you constantly. I want to make a key point here. Yah created men and women equal. If you're in the habit of treating women as second-rate citizens, making them don these things from top to bottom, treating them badly, denying them education, denying them work, you are seriously out of line. There are more women in heaven than there are men. If you think you're going to get 72 virgins, if you blow yourself up, you are sadly mistaken. If you actually are a believer, you're going to have a significant time in hell to pay the price for your error, and you will certainly not get 72 virgins. You won't even get one virgin. Women are not chattels to be used and abused and handed out as rewards. The abuse of women by a large section of Islam is shocking, appalling, disgusting, unacceptable. If you're a friend of the Almighty, you know His plans and you participate in them. You know His goals and you work towards them. You pray His will into existence on earth in close consultation with Him, and so forth. If you qualify as a friend at the end of your life, then you qualify to sit on a very high throne in heaven with a glorious resurrected body, great authority, great prestige, and great power. One of the key errors of Islam, as with Christianity, Judaism, and other religions, is that individual believers have abdicated their responsibility to have a personal relationship with the Almighty Creator in favor of a relationship with an imam or other leader who's expected to have some level of relationship with the Creator. Folks, it's a universal error. We have churches, we have mosques, we have synagogues, we have temples, we have whatever, and we have priests, and we have imams, and we have rabbis, and we have pastors, and we have priests, prophets, and what have you, who stand between the people and the Creator. It's wrong, it's error. Each person is called to have a personal relationship directly with the Creator. And if you're getting in the way of that, you're on the wrong side of history. Having said all that, one of the human beings closest to the Creator in this age in 2025 was a Muslim imam in Tehran. On the 25th of December 2015, I was given statistics on the number of people on earth at different levels of relationship with the Creator. I was told that there were more true believers in Islam than in any other religion, but it's still a small number. And I was told that of the three men who were at that moment closest to the Creator, one was a Muslim imam in Tehran, another was a Jewish rabbi in Jerusalem, and the third was myself, coming from a Christian background, albeit no longer regarding myself as Christian. I want to be clear. True Islam is a religion of belief in the Creator. True Muslims are people who at some level are seeking a relationship with the Creator. People who are not doing that are not true Muslims, just as people who are not doing that in Christianity are not true Christians, and people who are not doing that in Judaism are not true Jews. The true name of the Almighty Creator is Yah, the eternally self-existing, and He desires us to use that name. The name Yah occurs over 7,000 times in the Hebrew books of the assembly, commonly referred to as the Bible. It's frequently rendered by Yehudi Jews as Adonai, when in fact the Hebrew is Yahweh, Y-H-W-H, which correctly renders Yahweh or Yahweh, and which is accurately translated as Yah, the eternally self-existing. Such that the true essential name of the Almighty Creator is Yah. He loves it when we use that name with appropriate esteem. In fact, He said, "If you love me, then call me by my true name." He hates it when people hide His true name with Hashem, God, etc. He prefers this name, Yah, to Allah, but Allah is far preferred to God and Hashem and the Tetragrammaton, etc. Yah occurs as a syllable in the names of 218 people in the so-called Old Testament for another 3,608 instances. See the article 2025-0902. The true name of Yah occurs approximately 10,661 times in the so-called Old Testament. Folks, it's really important to understand that Judaism, Christianity, Islam are one progression in the journey of human beings in relationship with the Creator. Islam is not better than Christianity or Judaism. As I said a few minutes ago, Islam has now developed the same errors as the Christians. They worship the book and they worship the prophet. Folks, you're out of line. If you're a true believer, come out of it. I came out of Christianity because Christianity is corrupt. If you were a Jew, I would say to you, come out of Judaism because Judaism is corrupt. I say to you as a Muslim, come out of Islam because Islam is corrupt. And then the Quran is a very important religious book. The Quran is a very important religious book, and it is inspired overall at a greater level than the Bible. Albeit that the Quran is also just a book written by humans, and it does contain error, and it has been transcribed. Many in Islam have fallen into the trap of according the Quran undue esteem, such that they effectively worship the Quran. This is sin, and it should be avoided at all costs. It's not appropriate to beat or kill people for what they may say or do negatively regarding the Quran. You may not like it if somebody burns the Quran, and it's not acceptable behavior, but it is not behavior that justifies a riot or beating somebody up or killing somebody. I really want you to get this, folks. There are some horrible lies and practices being eschewed by people who call themselves Muslims. There's a lot of error amongst the people who call themselves Christians, but for the most part, they're not going around killing people. The wars that they have had recently are with the Islamist, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, etc., who, as I've said before, as far as I discern it, are not true believers. Then Muhammad, through the Quran, is correct about the major errors of Christianity. Muhammad, through the Quran, is correct about the two big errors of Christianity. Number one, the wrong worship of Jesus. Isa, correctly Yahushua, is not the Almighty in the flesh. There is no deity of Yahushua. There is no Trinity. All of these as espoused by Christians. And then wrong worship of the Bible and as the Word of God, and related errors also by Christians. Beyond these two errors and a range of other errors, Christianity in its essence is a valid religion in service of the Almighty. Reconciliation between Islam and Christianity is highly desirable. Waging war against Christians and murdering Christians is no more valid than it is in the opposite direction. Ultimately, true Muslims and true Christians are serving the same Creator. I'm grieved at what I've come across in the last few months about radical Islamist so-called Muslims perpetrating murder, rape, torture, hostages starved. It's not right, my friend. If you are a true believer who wears the label Muslim, you need to ditch that label and get out of Islam and just become a servant of the Creator. And email me and I'll help you. And then Muhammad, through the Quran, is also correct about the major error of Judaism. Muhammad, through the Quran, is correct about the error of the Jews, the Yehudi, in worshipping their books, and specifically the Torah. The Quran refers to people of the book, being the Jews and the Christians. Beyond this error and a range of other errors, Judaism in its essential essence is a valid religion in service of the Almighty, and reconciliation between Islam and Judaism is highly desirable. Waging war against Jews and murdering Jews is no more valid than it is in the opposite direction. Ultimately, true Muslims and true Jews are serving the same Creator. Now, I want to make the point, folks. Overall, most of the Jews, the Yahudi, have less error than most of the Muslims. I know that's unpalatable. I know many of your fellows hate the Jews. Sadly, it's true. At the time of Muhammad was given truth. That truth has been corrupted. How do you condemn the Jews and the Christians for worshipping the book, and then you worship the Quran? How do you condemn the Christians for worshipping Isa, Yeshua, Jesus, and then you worship Muhammad? So that Muhammad is the perfect man. Please stop and think about it. Judge not, lest thou also art judged. And you have judged Judaism, you've judged Christianity, and you are now being judged. You've fallen into the same traps and the same sins that you condemn them for. It's time to back off, it's time to repent, and it's time to turn to serving the Almighty Creator in love and peace. The one human being who spent all of eternity to the time he was born with Yah told us, love your enemies, do good to them that hate you, pray for them that despitefully use you. If a man commands you to go with him 1 mile, go with him 2. If somebody strikes you on the cheek, turn the other cheek. That is the way the Almighty Creator is. That's the way he expects his true believers to behave. And if you're not behaving that way, if you're behaving in the way that I've described earlier, you're out of line. You need to sort out your act. So I will continue with that teaching next Friday. And I want to end up with a few questions and a few points that I would like to share with you. I want to ask you, what is the state of your relationship with the Almighty Creator? I'd like to ask you to critically examine where you are relative to Him today. Do you talk to Him constantly throughout the day and allow Him to lead you in every possible way? Do you worship Him at every opportunity? Have you clearly and unambiguously heard Him call you friend? If not, you're failing in your life purpose and you will be bitterly disappointed when you die. If you've now come to belief, please pray along the following lines. Father Yah, I come to you in the name of Yahushua. I now believe that you exist. I confess my sin of unbelief and I repent of my unbelief and I ask you to forgive my sin. I now commit my life to you and I ask you to take me by the hand and lead me into deep relationship with you. I ask you to fill me with your spirit and to change me and help me to become the person you want me to become. I ask you to help me find people who can help me and help me find books, websites, articles, and other resources that will help me. I ask you to show me what I can do to actively serve you and lead others to deep personal relationship with you. I thank you for saving me. There's a period of 8 days from sincerely coming to belief for the first time, during which there is extreme grace to help you. See the article, Critical Actions on First Belief for Actions You Should Take Immediately. Drop me an email on james@endtimeissueministries.org so that I can help you, pray with you, counsel you, etc. In closing, thank you for listening. Please send me your questions to james@endtimeissueministries.org. Please email me to join the mailing list at james@endtimeissueministries.org. If you decide to draw close to the Almighty, please let me know and I will connect with you by Zoom, Teams, email, LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp, or telephone, so that I can help you with your journey. I hope to connect with you again next week when I will continue to explore how to become a friend of the Creator. Work with me to make a way for Yeshua to return in victory at the end of the millennium and make his enemies his footstool. Now, I want to be clear. It doesn't matter who you are. The Almighty Creator wants you to become his friend. You can be rich or poor, tall or short, thin or fat, educated or uneducated. Doesn't matter if you're Muslim, Christian, Jew, Baha'i, Buddhist, whatever. Doesn't matter if you're an outright Satanist. It doesn't matter if you're an outright Islamist unbeliever. The Creator wants you to become his friend, and he will meet you wherever you are. Doesn't matter if you're African, Asian, American, Caucasian, Asian, whatever. He wants you to become his friend. I will help you to become his friend. Email me and say, James, I want to become a friend of the Creator. please help me. There's massive information on my website, www.endtimeissueministries.org. Drop me an email at james@endtimeissueministries.org, and I will help you. I'll put you on my mailing list. You'll get weekly emails 2 or 3 times a week. I'm here to help you. I would love to hear from you. It does my heart good when somebody says to me, oh, excuse me, I want to become a friend of the Creator. Please help me. So I'm out of time. I've got something I want to share with those of you who are on the channel for the first time or the second time. So if that's you, please stay on. If you've been on the channel for a while, I'm going to say good night. Go well. Have a great weekend and a great week, and I'll see you next Friday. In closing, who am I? James Robertson. I have a doctorate in engineering and I'm a retired military commander. I now work as a management consultant. I have over 32 years' experience of actively seeking to draw close to the Almighty following a dramatic encounter with him on the 12th of March 1993 when he spoke to me audibly in a locked room and I knew for certain that he was real. Learning about Father, I applied my deep-seated aversion to failure born out of an accident in early childhood, coupled to my engineering and military training of rigor in preventing failure, to my seeking of knowledge about Father. This journey led to numerous supernatural experiences, prayers answered, and clear communication with the Creator. It forms the basis for what I teach in these programs. See the video, Why Seek Relationship, for an overview of what I believe. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org. The ETI version of the Bible with correction of translations errors is on the ETI Bible version page. For recordings of nearly all of the teachings broadcast so far, go to www.relationshipwithcreatorradio.com or search on Google for Relationship with Creator Radio. Transcripts are on the Transcripts for Broadcast page. Books with teachings from 1998 until May 2019 are on the Books for Printing page. I publish regular email articles. Email james@endtimeissueministries.org to be added to the list or to seek counsel, prayer, or give me feedback. Visit the website and use the article keyword cloud, table of contents, article search, and Google search to locate the information you're looking for. Folks, that's it. I'm out of time. Thanks so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next Friday. Thank you. Cheerio.
Father, I come to you, lifting up my hands. By your grace I stand, just because you love me. I know your favor.
Are you truly aware of how my message applies to Muslims and why so many people are concerned about Islam? Please listen to my broadcast on w4cy.com internet radio or talk4tv.com internet TV to understand why I say this. My name is Dr. James Robertson, and I've been walking closely with the Almighty Creator since 1993. Visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org for a lot of information about the matters of the Almighty. For back issues of broadcasts, visit www.relationshipwithcreatorradio.com or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to find out more. I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day. Cheerio.